Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's a little late today, but I've been busy researching like mad on a few projects this week, too. Just want to wait for a few people to pop on here. I hope you're having a great day. Mine began with a snowstorm and ended with it being 4 or 5 degrees out there. It's lovely. I went for a great walk. Today, of course, I'm always talking about UN Agenda 2030. And the problem is, I think that a lot of people don't understand or don't have a picture of what this vision for 2030 is. And I'm going to introduce you to a leader in it today, and that is Saudi Arabia. I came across this video in my research, and I'm doing a lot of deep research right now. But this might give you a clearer idea as to what I'm speaking about. And again, what the vision is for Saudi Arabia. And it's called Vision 2030 there. And the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, he has come up with this idea for this city called NEOM. I'm going to let the video speak to you on it because, again, it's all there, and then we're going to discuss it after. Okay, here we go.
It's set to be a futuristic megacity complete with robots, flying taxis, and even an artificial moon. The new Jetsons-like city is all about smart technology while promising neighborhoods with zero carbon emissions. Its location? Saudi Arabia. Located in the northwestern Saudi province of Tabuk, NEOM will rest on the Red Sea coast and is set to cover around 26,000 square kilometers across 16 boroughs. That's 33 times the size of New York City. The Saudi government has already pledged $500 billion for the project and has attracted some of the biggest global investors. So let's take a moment to unpack. What is NEOM? NEOM is a portmanteau of the Greek prefix neo, meaning new, with the letter M being shorthand for the Arabic word mustaqbal, meaning future, and it's part of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 project. The Crown Prince unveiled plans for the megacity during the Future Investment Initiative back in 2017, as part of a push to move the country beyond its reliance on oil revenues, with the new city scheduled to be completed by the year 2025. 3 of the world's largest consultancy firms, McKinsey & Company, Boston Consulting, and Oliver Wyman, were hired for the project. The Wall Street Journal reviewed confidential documents from these groups in 2019 and released some interesting findings.
They'll fly drone taxis to work while robots clean their homes. Their city will supplant Silicon Valley in technology, Hollywood in entertainment, and the French Riviera as a place to vacation. It will host a genetic modification project to make people stronger.
Dubai-based construction.
I thought I would just pause it there for a second and go back to that statement because that was really important. They'll fly drone taxis to work while robots clean their homes. Their city will supplant Silicon Valley in technology, Hollywood in entertainment, and the French Riviera as a place to vacation. It will host a genetic modification project to make people stronger. Isn't that interesting? And that's kind of what I see with the V. But we're going to go on here. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought it was important.
Dubai-based Construction Week also talks about NEOM's healthcare system, saying it will be supported by digital infrastructure and artificial intelligence, including digital twins that will map a person's health data, relegating traditional hospitals to a place of last resort. It also promises to connect the globe, stretching into Egypt and Jordan, building a bridge over the Red Sea, and allowing more than 40% of the world to be able to access it in less than 4 hours.
Which is basically strategically located between Africa, Europe, and Asia.
Progress has since been made on an airport network for the city, with NEOM Bay Airport already receiving passengers and an internationally registered airport on its way to being nearly finished. Some other interesting features of the project that the Wall Street Journal uncovered include a giant artificial moon that would light up each night, with one proposal suggesting it could live stream images from outer space. It's also been proposed that alcohol would likely not be banned in NEOM as it is across the rest of the country. Meanwhile, security cameras, drones, and facial recognition technology are expected to track people at all times. And from the ground to the sky, several reports talk about glow-in-the-dark sand on beaches and cloud seeding technology to create artificial rain. In October 2019, NEOM also announced plans for the city to be one of the world's most prominent e-gaming hubs. With sports being one of the 14 core concepts of the project, NEOM already hosted the 2021 Dakar Rally in January. Within the megacity will be something called the Line. It's meant to be a linear collection of smart cities powered by clean energy, including large-scale wind and solar farms, to completely eliminate carbon emissions. It will extend over the length of 170 kilometers, with neighborhoods connected to each other without the use of cars or roads, each enclave being self-sufficient in an attempt to maximize walkability. The line will have 3 layers of activity: a ground-level pedestrian layer, with a service layer below it for infrastructure, and a spine layer below that for transit and freight operations. Global Construction Review says that,
for longer distance travel, inhabitants will have access to ultra-high-speed transit and autonomous mobility solutions, with no journey longer than 20 minutes.
There are even plans to build the world's largest green hydrogen production facility in partnership with Aqua Power. The entire NEOM project plans to create around 380,000 jobs. And according to Business Insider, NEOM residents will be able to choose from more Michelin-starred restaurants per capita than any other city in the world. Ambitions extend to having an island with robotic dinosaurs to boost tourism, and plans for world-class education taught by holographic teachers. A mega project like NEOM is certainly not without controversy. For starters, this megalopolis of extravagance will be located about 1,000 kilometers from the sacred cities of Mecca and Medina, cherished as the holiest places of Islam. And in 2018, a host of global CEOs and policymakers boycotted the following year's Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh after Mohammed bin Salman was accused of ordering the killing of Washington Post columnist and Saudi dissident Jamal Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Meanwhile, though it's claiming to be in harmony with nature, to make way for the mega project has displaced 20,000 people already living in the area, most of them from the resident Huaytad tribe, who have refused to leave their ancestral lands. Saudi officials promised compensation for those being evicted, but haven't provided specifics. In 2020, security forces shot and killed Abdurrahim al-Huwaiti, who launched an online campaign resisting relocation. And Danish tournament organizer Blast ended its partnership with NEOM last July after the deal faced public backlash at home. In another controversial move, according to unconfirmed reports cited by several media outlets, including the Times of Israel, MBS met secretly with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last November at NEOM, along with Mossad chief Yossi Cohen. Plus, AFP has reported that the Saudi embassy in Washington tweeted last June that a council of ministers agreed to recruit Israeli cybersecurity firm Checkpoint Software for its projects in NEOM. So, is NEOM set to be a futuristic utopian dream or a potential dystopian nightmare?
For those who wanted to know what this was, it's NEOM, Futuristic Utopia or Dystopia, from the Turkish Public Broadcast Service. So what did you think about that? And yet we cannot figure out how to get rid of our garbage, Elizabeth. Yes. The thing is, the Saudis and actually the Arab nations are way ahead on this. I came across a video couple weeks ago, and I posted it. I'm gonna have to go look for that again on Telegram and on Facebook. And it was talking about it came up in the conversation, a Vision 2030 conference, that it was a vision of a handful of nations with the UN that came up with these concepts for what is now guiding the globe in our future. And Saudi was one of them. Now, of course, through that piece, we could hear that tracked, traced, But the interesting thing was, again, that the hospitals will be last resort. Now, this week, I've been around the hospitals twice, taking a look. And, well, what I had to say with my friend Carrie the other day was her experience on Saturday here in Regina with an empty ER and nurses with way too much time on their hands, enough to follow her around and make sure she was wearing her mask properly. Today went to the hospitals, just took a look. The staff lots looked pretty empty. The regular areas, like the people visiting and that sort of thing, that looked pretty full. So I don't know. We're on complete lockdown here in Regina. So now the thing is, the general consensus has been that there's just not that many people in the hospital. They keep talking about capacity, but capacity would be based on, of course, how many staff you had available. And so this is how wordsmithing is being embarked upon. But what's interesting is that this vision of this new reset in medical, it's completely changed. So again, the hospital is the very last resort. And what is happening now is interventions. And of course, we went back to that spot in order to, well, again, cull the herd, because that's the only way it can work. Now, with that vision, can you see, like, again, it's going to cost quite a bit of money to live in that city. So, and again, it's interesting. I was doing some research on Uber. And of course, they've got the great story like Facebook does and Airbnb does. They all have a great story. And interestingly enough, they all started around the same time, 2008, 2009. Well, their story is about a Paris snowstorm with Uber. And then I came across articles that said that Saudi got Uber around 2018. But that's not true. They actually got it back in 2014. And in fact, Uber is responsible for providing transportation for 80% of Saudi women. Now, the thing is, prior to Uber, they had to be taken wherever they went by their father, brother, uncle. They had to have a charge all the time. And to go out and hail their own transportation would be considered dangerous in that culture. And it couldn't be trusted. So Uber has become actually, again, the 80% of how women, 80% of women travel in Saudi to go to work or because they just couldn't get a job outside the home. They couldn't trust a driver, or they had to have their own driver. I've experienced this in Africa where, it's like, look, I don't need a driver. It's like, oh yeah, you do need a driver. And yes, you take the driver. In any case, I think there's a lot more Saudi money in Uber than most people get. And actually, my research has been taking me into how invested they truly are in Agenda 2030, even within Canada and the United States. I'm calling it the Agenda 2030 cartel. And what I'm researching is actually who all those players are. And it's pretty massive, which is why we have pretty much got a fourth layer of government working, and that is a new global government. And again, as we talk about these visions, we have to know that these are projects that are having money being raised. They believe Saudi Arabia, or Prince Mohammed Salman, he has a vision of Saudi Arabia being one of the greatest countries in the world, and a complete shift of where the action is on the planet from the West, their way. It also comes with a more moderate version of Islam, or does it? And this is the funny thing, because a lot of those nations have been sold to the West as free for us. But it doesn't really pan out that way in many circumstances. So I've been doing a whole lot of research in that regard. Again, you know, if you're in Saudi and you get raped, you need 4 men to plead your case, witnesses, or the woman goes to jail. That's how it goes. Sharia law, right? We're dealing with divine rulers, or who believe they're divine. Kings and princes. And again, a lot of their, well, the difference between this one is that he's young. He's in his early 30s. And, well, he basically imprisoned in the Ritz-Carlton anyone who would have opposed him. And he did that back in 2017, I believe. Literally rounded them all up. And then anyone who had was caught being corrupt had to make a deal with them, and some went to jail. And I guess any aversion to this plan. You see, Vision 2030 isn't 100% accepted there, but in Saudi, of course, you can't say that you don't accept it. You must, because that's how it's done in totalitarianville. The thing is, it's the same investment firms that are investing there that are investing over here. And in fact, we have a Saudi sovereign wealth fund now being invested within Canada in the tar sands. I'm going to break all this up in the coming weeks, because this is, again, important, because they are invested. Yes, except Biden provoking war with Russia today with sanctions. Now it's interesting what's going on. I had to go back, because every time I go back to the World Economic Forum, the COVID action platform, I keep looking for countries like Canada, and they're not showing up. What I find, it's like there's a new sphere of influence being created right now. US, Russia, China, India's in there. But Canada and Australia, I don't see mentioned. So again, I'm digging in more. And again, Saudi Arabia isn't. China's there though. There's a lot of joint ventures between the Saudis and China. The fact is that now everything is, nations are usurping power and influence in other spheres of the world. And it's all based on their investments. And again, with the Agenda 2030 cartel. Agenda 2030 is merely the glue, the legitimacy of it all. But what's happening right now is we actually have corporations that are going to, well, design the global government to come. And I imagine that's all designed. It was about a year ago I said, I think that the first global government is going to sit in Kazakhstan. I just am guided that way. So we'll see what happens. Yes, Biden is provoking war. Now Russia is, again, another sphere of influence over with China. It's interesting. Russia's always threatening immediate retribution. Follow the money for sure. But the thing is, you know, a lot of people aren't really getting, the money goes way deeper. I mean, not only does Bill Gates have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he's also got Cascade Investments. And it just gets more convoluted. What's interesting is BlackRock is invested everywhere. And that and Vanguard with talents. And just about every project that is associated in this realm, BlackRock and Vanguard. It's interesting to see the patterning. But again, we've got the Saudis investing with Bill Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And I found footage on that the other night from 2017. One of the princes going on about their investments with Bill Gates and his influence. I'll be putting all of that footage together. I've got about, I don't know, 60 windows open right now. I I've been sleeping with it, like a video on, and until my computer powers out, so I can, learn in my sleep. Cascade Investments, yes, my friend, that is his secret. Another holding company, and it's massive. So there's Bill Gates, there's Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway, and then the Saudis are tight with those two. That's the connection. And then, of course, the World Health Organization, Bill Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds the World Health Organization. It's a combination of, in fact, what this cartel is doing is using the institutions to fulfill its will. Right now, as in states of emergency around the World Health Organization isn't in control. So what's happening now is this is like borders down, and the allowance of these cartels to lay the groundwork that they couldn't lay before. Like everyone in a public space wearing a mask. They couldn't have done it before. But under a public health emergency, it can happen. Now, you got to know that living in Saudi is like, again, it's totalitarianville. You are tracked and traced, and women have been forever there. Now that they're allowing them to drive, not many women would have the opportunity. And also because of family and religion, a lot are quite conservative. And again, still have to go everywhere with their charge. The one thing about the crown prince, is that he is, he wants to see more women go to work for tax revenue. So they needed reliable transportation. And again, a chain of custody on the women. Of course, this is coming here. Everything will have a chain of custody. They'll know where we are at all times. And again, the hospital never to be relied upon. And I mean, I can agree with that. The fact is through all of this and these advances, what they're doing is, for example, there is a new company, when I'm on YouTube, a commercial comes up. Fresh something. In any case, what you do is you order your food every week, and everything comes pre-portioned for how many people. And you say, I want to make Thai chicken, and everything comes, all the ingredients. So you never have to buy you don't buy the jar of curry anymore at the store. It all comes there with. Now, what people don't understand, all they're seeing is the convenience, and I'm a busy mom and blah, blah, blah. But what they're doing is they're actually portioning you. And this is what people fail to understand. They're literally being socialized. And again, is it a good idea? Well, maybe for a person like me, not really, because I eat well. But there's a lot of people who don't and don't get balanced diets. And for those people, they'll actually be portioned, but they're not going to have a fridge full of food anymore. That's not going to be on. The freezer downstairs, that won't be happening. It'll be order and you get. No waste. And that's what it's all about. There's an interesting thing going on in Ontario right now. Oh, let me answer this. China was just called out as our biggest threat. This definitely takes the heat off them. Oh, they're all part of it. They're all part of it. Every one of them. Even the ship stuck in the Suez Canal. BlackRock, Vanguard, all of these boys. I'm going to be getting all the particulars on that. See, right now there's all this confusion about who to charge the ship $900 million with. That's what they've put the bill to, for the holdup in the canal. But that holdup in the canal had some other purposes to serve. And of course that was to, disrupt and show the world how 2 weeks or a week and a half can seriously mess up production, and that we require all these technology and we require these upgrades, except traffic's been going through the Suez forever and a day. BlackRock was in there. They're one of the top investors. In the media, they've changed the name to the Ever Given. Now that's the name of the ship, but it's Evergreen. And that is, yes, a Taiwanese firm, but it's BlackRock. Really, I'm going to be digging into BlackRock in the next few days. Not today because it's huge. We'll do that tomorrow. And we'll talk about how invested they are, as well as Vanguard. And I have a lot more to learn about Vanguard. Again, but they're always there. They're two peas in a pod. Hi, A1. How are you? Nice to see you. We're talking about the Agenda 2030 cartel. Hi, Sharon, Andrew. Joe, see you there. It's, you missed the little spot we had on NEOM, which is Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. And so what I'm going to be doing is kind of introducing everyone to where, well, these grand visions of this utopian future came from. And a lot of it is from the handful of guys in the East. The divine rulers like Prince Mohammed Salman. The UAE is quite interesting as well. And about, 6 months ago, Princess Haya, who was married to the leader in the UAE, she escaped from him. And he actually went and tried to, his daughter tried to run. She was in her early 20s, and he went and had her taken off a ship with Saudi commandos, and she hadn't been seen for quite some time. So I've, again, been researching into all of these relationships, and again, how the kingdoms are coming together through marriage, but also, again, the weaving of the finances. Because you got to understand, Saudi was really conservative before Salman. They didn't cavort with the West. They didn't invest like this. It was this young guy that got things rolling. And now, again, they're all in bed with Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and the gang. We have to do our spot one. Let's do it soon. In any case, I thought, again, it's always great to have a picture of what they're talking about. And again, when it comes to the amendments that we're all looking today, drove by the vaccine center in Regina. It was lined right up. My friend came over. We went on our way, and she said that it was lined up on like the major thoroughfare to get in originally at this morning. And when we went this afternoon, it again just lined up, ready. Everybody just going for it. It's unbelievable. It was a 3-hour wait. That's what the sign said. So people were idling for 3 hours to get their vaccine. The propaganda is working. It truly is. And I don't know what to say. We hope that people will listen and maybe step back. But I have an actually really inspiring story. It was a friend of mine the other day. And again, she's been listening to me. She doesn't say a whole lot, but she came to me the other morning and she said, my husband is going to go get the shot. And I'm like, oh no. And she said he is immunocompromised. He really believes that it is going to protect him. And she's been working on him, but again, respectfully. And he decided to go. She said, well, can you say a prayer? I'm like, well, sure I can. But he got there and he found out when he asked that it was the AstraZeneca, and he had a blood clot problem. And right then, and then he found out that they just sort of don't know what they're going to get. They just wait and see what they get, and then they go from there. And it was something tweaked, and he said, no, thank you. And he left. So that was brilliant news. Again, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And she was pretty pleased about that. She said, your prayer worked. And I said, I probably don't think that was me. I think it was you who was talking to him. And again, gently trying to advise him to maybe hold back a bit. The commercials are starting to run here in Ontario for the shot. Really? Oh, you see, I don't watch TV. so I don't see it. I've got YouTube on all the time. I haven't seen anything there yet. Thank God. Your daughter, Juan, is going to get the shot. Oh, it must. Oh, poor guy. The thing is, you are a spiritualist and you know, as well as I do, that it's everybody's journey. And as much as you want to protect them, they have to come to the conclusions themselves. Again, you know, I stayed with a friend who had cancer a few years ago, and I kind of was in the middle of the fight. I mean, she ended up trying to fight with me, and it was like, look, I'm just here to try to help you and guide you. And you asked me to come here, and I drove 2,000 kilometers to do so. And I realized at that time, it doesn't matter. It's not until someone is ready to see the source of what's going on. It's their karma to bear. It truly is. Again, that's why I believe there are karmas of lifetimes, and you're just not, it's part of your soul evolution to make mistakes. Will everyone think it's a mistake? I think a lot of people are out of touch with themselves, and I'm not sure they'll know. Yeah, the last commercial I saw was someone receiving a shot with a blue mask on, and at the end it was practically yells, you still have to wear a mask. It's almost like they're mocking. Carrie, that's horrible. Oh my God. The fact is a lot of people believe that it's going to somehow get them out of jail, and they're not real. But see, they need them in jail so that they can bully us to get what we don't want. That's what's going on here. They're going to need them. And now remember too, once they get this shot, this is all about chromosome 8 and empathy getting wiped out. So a lot of people have been eating those GMO foods for years, and that's already been happening. Their gut bacteria is completely wiped. Instincts, inner knowing, all gone. And empathy is something associated with chromosome 8. And this is apparently what this amendment actually attacks. And again, that we saw the empathy on the mask. There was none for us, even if we were immunocompromised, and saying we can't wear one. And it was like, yeah. They didn't want to hear it. Accusing us of being unempathetic, yet being unempathetic themselves. It was unbelievable to go through that. It's true. All you can do is share stories and set an example and tell them you love them and believe in them. Helps with some. That's the truth. It is. Okay, guys, it's not up to us to save everybody here. I know we want to, and that's probably why you're here too. We all do want to. That's why I've done nothing more for over a year, just about a year and a half now of this, because I truly care. But some people will just never see it. It makes me teary. It does. But again, it's their spot. It's their journey, and it's where they are in the whole evolution of it. Again, I believe in karma and reincarnation, and I believe in lifetimes. So it fits in, again, in my beliefs. That's how I reconcile it. It's like, when you're in grade school and you're best friends with someone, and then, again, you evolve and your interests evolve, and we must continue to grow. And the worst thing is what I'm seeing with a lot of people is, they are with partners that aren't on their page. And it's a lonely journey. Honestly, in that regard, I have to say I'm happy that I'm alone, because I haven't at least had to have my heart break that way. It must be tough. I know one woman, she's surrounded in her house. Everybody, husband and daughters, they're all believe in this 100%. And give their mom shit. It's horrible. it was funny because they all got quarantined. It's not funny. They got quarantined because one daughter went out and she decided she was going to get a test, and she got the ball rolling in the family. And then there was one part where she was telling me, well, Martine, my husband's now talking about taking the two daughters and going to a hotel. And I said, are you on glue? No, you go to the hotel and have a 2-week vacation. And you let them stay. They're the ones who got it going. Like, it was funny because it didn't even occur to her, right? Because, she's a mom. Of course, there's me. I've never been a mom, so I'm like, yeah, I'll go stay at the hotel. We have to do the best we can. And again, you know what? Sometimes relationships have timed themselves out. And that's what I talk to a lot of people every day about that. There's only so much you can put out. And then you also have to draw your boundaries. I have some pretty firm boundaries. I do. Because, well, they protect me. That's why you have them. A lot of people have never, have involved a lot of other people in their lives and their decisions. I've never done that. So, because if I ever listened to anybody, I would have never done a darn thing in my life. I would have never traveled anywhere that I've gone. And I've done some pretty rockin' trips. Because again, I'm by myself and I can do what I want. People are so inhibited by their own reality that they just don't get out there. And again, I'm not afraid of that. So this future does seem a little bleak. I know. But we have to turn it around for us. I had one woman message me the other day yesterday, I guess, and said, I heard you talking a while ago about, finding that new future. Like, it's not going to change. I'm seeing that now. And how do I get out of it? And, my first thing was, well, what you need to do is, number one, isolate what you want to do. And she was kind of stumped by that because, again, she hasn't thought about those things for a long, long time. Because a lot of people kind of went, at 18, 19, went, well, this is what I want to do. And then they just kept doing it. I haven't done that. So the brain's not open to the concept of what do you want to do? And now we have to figure out if it's marketable. We'll also have to figure out if it comes in with, the parameters of COVID. But I think the most important thing that, people that listen to me, they're looking for independence, right? Away from this nightmare. Hoping that one day it'll actually get solved or there'll be some justice. But right now, I think it's imperative to stay out of the way best as possible. Because again, just so you know, I got a little heads up from a mom who, it was a mom was the other one, a friend who knows someone who works at Giant Tiger. And that's a Canadian retailer here across the country. They just got offered a $125 bonus to get the V. I don't think they'll be working if they don't get it, but this was the first attempt to bribe these people to roll up their sleeves. I also know that Canada Post, they've now issued masks to all of their staff, where before they were allowing, and they actually were even allowing not a mask there for a while. And unfortunately, they're not allowed to wear it anymore. Very sad. The masks are from China. Yes, not even Canada. So Canada Post is now issuing these to their employees. I wonder if it's going to cover Muslim women. Again, wearing the face covering. That's something I'm going to look into. In any case, there's lots going on. Hi, Sapphire. Peter Morris, haven't seen you forever. Debbie. I do. Alicia, wonderful. Joe, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining today. I hope that it was NEOM and the look at that was interesting because again, we keep hearing about the sci-fi stuff. Well, this guy, it's on. And the next week we'll be exposing bits and pieces so we can start to put a picture together and figure out what's on the roster for our future that they're not telling us. Have a great day, everybody.